Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show.
Olá Bom Dia ALEGRIA, Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show, live stream and podcast. Tudo bem? Como está? How are you doing this morning? Should we ease our way gently into the weekend? Yeah, let's do that. We've got Colleen Showalter from Portugal The Place with a nice offer actually today. She's joining us at 8:40 and I'm looking forward to chatting with her. So one of her lovely videos online about the diligence and care that she takes when taking people around, touring people, scouting in Portugal. And the idea of tuning in to the place came up, you know, the intuitive connection with where people might find home, recognize home here in Portugal. So I'd like to talk to her more about that. I don't know how oggly-boggly that's going to get, and intuitive and spiritual and deep and meaningful. It might just be tuning in by immersion. We'll find out from Colleen later on. But maybe you could let me know where you are on that sort of spectrum of, you know, you need to feel it in your waters. Moving to Portugal and the place you moved to was an intuitive, largely intuitive process, or was it a very deeply logical and rational one? Always very interesting about how people tick. I don't think there's a right way, incidentally. I just think it's very interesting how people go about this in different ways. I've just noticed my Jesus has disappeared. That's worrying. Is it a sign? Good morning to you. How are you? You may have noticed, see, Mrs. M's rearranging things in the studio. And I thought I had my Portugal shrine behind me all set up nicely with Jesus on there as well. That was a present that she bought for me a long time ago. And now he seems to have disappeared. There's a few familiar things there, and obviously the azulejo tiles. I was delighted to tell Kat, or let Kat know that her lovely Iberian Lynx card was featured. Oh, and the lady who did this one, this postcard here, she's been in touch. She makes postcards based on the beautiful Portuguese azulejo. She wants to join us on the show sometime soon too. That's fantastic. Looking forward to talking to her. Let's crack on then, shall we? In this new part of the show, the Bom Dia Daily, 20 minutes of news, weather, language, culture, and well-being. And it might spill a little bit into the second 20 minutes. Maybe we'll just go half as fast this morning as we make our way easily and pleasantly into the weekend. The Bon Fin Semana. Pete's in. João Ernesto do Norte. Bom Dia Portugal. Yeah, must play your videos. That's unfortunate, John. There was a time when you were wondering what to do with all the fry, all the fish in your garden pond, wasn't there? And that was taken care of by nature, as it turns out. So I hope it's okay with you for me to share the video of the visitor to your garden a little bit later on. We'll do that in the second 20-minute segment. Jackie's in, as is Mike. How you doing, guys? And Coach Turner with the Bom Dia Campus. Let's put the sex into sexta-feira. A video from the coach as well. This week seems to have flown by. Wet and windy here north of London, but seriously stormy in Scotland and with Deagle. And I saw Portugal mentioned on British news last night as being very windy. It's so changeable as well. That's the funny thing. We seem to be we're into the second storm of the week, and then suddenly the sun is shining bright like a summer day. It's so changeable, isn't it? Sign of the times, perhaps. Pete with a simple bon dia. Oh, Diane helped to find Portugal due to the fact she used to be a medium. Is there a joke? Oh, now she's a small. I knew it. I just knew it. Thank you, Pete. And do you know what? I know what happened in his mind there. He was thinking, and now she's a large. He was going to say that, and he thought, oh no, she'll kill me if I say that. So he changed it at the last minute to now she is a small. Very good. Thank you very much indeed. Right, let's have a look at some interesting news. Some good news, which is good news and bad news. Picking up on the theme that the Portuguese he was early to this. He was early to the party on the 100% tax. And you as well, Pete, you mentioned it, didn't you? We'll have a look into that because I think that's good news and bad news for obvious reasons. And then some good news if you're a rock and roll fan. All right. If you like a certain band with a combined age of 2027, they're coming back to Portugal after, I think, an 11-year absence. Let's do those. Let's look at visitors to ponds and Coach Turner's new video in our wellbeing section as well. But before we go there, and the weather, of course, let's take a look at the weather, see if there's any changes planned in the weather forecast. Let's have a look at this news then. And I'm going to go to the Portugal news this morning for this particular coverage, which I think disappeared. Now, as we alluded to yesterday with Heather, it's for us Portugal Pollyannas, or who lean in that direction, who accentuate the positive. It's kind of awkward when these sort of stories come up. But, I don't mind having a chat about them, reframing them, putting them into perspective. We're not going to go too gloom and doom. And of course, the good news straight away is this is 100% tax for foreign buyers in Portugal. That's probably not you if you're watching this right now. It might be you if you're watching later, as people do, it's more the people who are moving to Portugal and thinking about it that are watching this program later than those who are watching in the morning and who are already here, residents of Portugal, for whom this tax will not apply, of course. So that's great news, is it not? Although you may be thinking, Portugal, that's not such a great idea in terms of public perception around the world. Let's find out what they're talking about anyway. Oh, yes, Portugal news. You haven't failed me. 19 comments. I can't wait to get to those, the comments in the Portugal news. A Portuguese movement. Who doesn't like a Portuguese movement first thing in the morning? I know I do. More fibre nurse. Wants the government to tax up to 100%. Oh, up to, there you go, small print, on real estate bought by non-residents from countries outside the European Union to be the same as the rules in Spain. And of course, they can't do that to other people in Europe, can they? I'm guessing, because of the European Union. The whole idea of, the clue is in union, isn't it? The movement Porta a Porta. Now, I must find out more about them, so I'm going to open that in a new tab. Advised the government, they've been whispering the government's ear, to adopt a similar measure to the one. Now, it says here, approved in Spain. Now, that's news to me. I didn't know it had been approved in Spain to help solve the housing crisis issues. Now, will it do that? Would it do that? The measure approved in Spain has led to the taxation. Has anyone been taxed 100% yet? Will lead, possibly, has led on the value of a purchased house by non-residents from the countries outside the EU. The measure was announced by the Spanish Prime Minister, Pedro Sanchez, and it is part of a pack of 12. Ooh, he's optimistic. He's got a pack of 12, everybody. Pack of 12 initiatives aiming to make housing more affordable for Spanish citizens. Okay, so that's the idea, presumably, then, is to stop other people buying houses such that Spanish citizens can. And if they do buy them, the 100% tax is then reinvested into public housing. Not probably. Anyway, don't be cynical, Carl. The pack also includes measures. I've got a vision of him in a spaghetti western, Pedro Sanchez, with a big cowboy hat on. He's got a hand of 12 cool cards that are going to change the housing situation in Spain. The pack also includes measures that benefit landlords who sign long-term renting contracts and hold that's good. And hold strict measures to those who sign short-term renting contracts, turfing people out after they've just got comfortable. And it's different, isn't it? When you live in a rental culture, I think it's fair to say Spain and Portugal are more rental cultures, or have traditionally been, until everyone got Brassic. Of rental cultures rather than purchase cultures. So if you've got a rental culture and you haven't got long-term tenure, that's a bit awkward. The group Porta a Porta is formed by people from various age groups from the whole Portuguese territory who share the struggles of maintaining a proper house, whether due to high rent prices or because of the increase of the taxes that are paid when a house is bought. Porta a Porta has already organised demonstrations throughout the country to call to the attention of governors to provide proper housing measures to Portuguese citizens. Currently, the movement has available a petition for people to sign, and the petition link is there, supporting the group's principles that everyone deserves a house. Well, I don't think anyone's going to argue with that, as described in the 65th article of the Portuguese Constitution. Did you know that we have a constitutional article, 65, that outlines that everyone should have a house here in Portugal? The Portuguese call-out spokesman for Porta a Porta, André Escoval, stated that Portugal should adopt similar initiatives, defending that relying on market dynamics did not solve the housing crisis being felt in the country. In the same statement, Escoval mentioned that the housing crisis in Portugal has gradually increased. Well, apologies to the Portugueser for being all over this and me accusing him of making a clickbaity video. If you're watching, I do apologize. I come to you cap in hand, Portugueser. Right, this is always the interesting bit in the Portugal news. Can we not have comments, please, at the Portugal resident? This measure is not the solution to the housing problem, says AB in the Algarve. As I suspected somebody might say, and I have an inkling myself, that this alone would not solve the situation. The cost of building materials globally is a major factor. Yeah, and especially the cost here in Portugal. It doesn't help. It doesn't make it attractive to developers. We've talked to Bobby about this before, haven't we? Bobby O'Reilly. Furthermore, there are many people who have gotten mortgages in the last 5 years. If we devalue houses and properties in general alike, it will result in people potentially walking away from mortgages. That's a shot in the foot, isn't it? I would, on the other hand, James in the Algarve would put 100% tax on second Portuguese property owned by EU, non-EU residents. That way, it will filter out the landlords that are price gouge using Airbnb. Yes, second homes. That seems a bit fairer, does it not? Purchase thereof. A populist foreigner bashing that will punish the few and benefit none is what Mark Holden thinks. Gary Bickley, please do your homework. The 100% tax is an idea in Spain. It's not even been put in front of the parliament to approve it. Yes. So that did concern me, saying that it had been approved. It's being talked about. It's a political football still, as so many things are. This is a brilliant idea. Inverted commas, socialist and communist solutions have really benefited the populations around the world. You can tell where Marty stands on the political spectrum there. I agree. This isn't the solution. The government should put a cap in how many houses foreigners in the EU can buy, since there is people that buy more than one house and many of them are empty all year around. Only the gardens and cleaners plus the tradesmen that go there, do their jobs, and they've never lived in them. Right. Yep, that's a fair point from Isabel Oliveira. Nuno F from Lisbon. This will show whom the government serves, and most of us already know the outcome. Also, non-individuals have no place. Non-individuals have no place owning homes. Oh, I see. That's funds buying houses rather than individuals. Yeah, that's an interesting point. Nuno F as well. There are older empty houses everywhere if you look, but the Portuguese don't want to live in them. Well, it might be a bit more complicated than that, David S., but there are certainly a lot of empty houses around. Cesar Penafiel from the USA, instead of trying to follow Spain's model, which is certain to fail. And is there any guarantee that you won't get squirted by a water pistol, even if you have paid 100% tax? I think not. Who wants to go and live in a country with that sort of hostility? They don't know if you're sat outside a restaurant in Barcelona, if you've paid 100% tax or not, and paid your dues, as it were, if this does come about, and then squirt you with a water pistol as well. Pah, no. Stick to Portugal, friends. I won't read all the comments, but you get the gist there. So not a problem for you if you're already a resident here in Portugal. Possibly if you are not already. And if you're thinking of moving here, let's chat with Colleen Showalter a little bit later on about her methods for moving you here, including tuning in to your place here in Portugal. So what do you think of that, folks? Let's see. PT Country Bear. These articles are like a game of telephone. What's that mean? The 100% tax measure has not been approved. Exactly. I think you're right. The English news is often false. There are substantial legal questions as to its enforceability. Well said. But that's what I read, what it said in the Portugal news there. They are talking about it being approved. It's not helping, is it? It's bucketing down here. That's not a fiscal or taxation comment, although it could also be true, I suspect, says Jackie. Peeing down. Carl, isn't a 100% tax on second homes? No, I think it's the first time for foreigners, or some of them anyway. It hasn't been approved yet. Thank you, Coach Turner. If you want to write a comment, if you want to flame up the old Portugal news for saying that it's been approved, excuse me a minute. Tickly throat. I've been doing a lot of talking. Well, I normally do, don't I? But I've been doing a special lot of talking in the last 24 hours. Last night, we had the 5 property hotspots in Portugal. Buy them quick before there's 100% tax on them. That was brilliant with... I've just forgot his name. Oh, my goodness. Peter, of course. Peter von Noonan of the Portugal company. And also coming up next week, tax efficient tips. Just so you know, in just under a week, 7:30 Lisbon time, tax efficient tips and financial planning for expats in Portugal. I should be hosting that webinar and the town hall thereafter. I could be coming back to the town hall and the controversy around eating pastel de natas with a spoon in a little while. At first, I was afraid. I was petrified. No, at first I was disgusted, and then I was hugely surprised when I put this conundrum to the town hall team last night. You shall too see the results about what they had to say when I put that to them. Anyway, Bom dia from a windy, shut down Edinburgh. You're in Edinburgh. Even Tesco closed for the wind. We'll see how it compares to Colorado. Wow, cheers, Bob. You're over in Edinburgh and you sent pictures of the current storm being endured in Scotland over there. That's wild. Oh, Edinburgh at night as well. That's nice. I will come back to the 100% tax thing in just a moment. Oh, Viv, you found yourself a Portuguese cockerel in Edinburgh by the look of it. That's fantastic. Okay, and is that you found a Portuguese restaurant or cafe? Well done, you two. Excellent stuff. Thank you very much. Oh, James, I think he's still snoozing, the old guy in Europe, but he has a new video out today, of course, it being Friday, a typical day for an old guy in Europe. Check it out on YouTube. Right, back to your comments about this 100% tax then, and your comments coming in, as you might expect. I think you'll be commenting on my next item as well. It could be bad news for those that would eventually like to sell as you're limiting the market, but just like Trump and Sanch, hold on a minute. Oh, government incompetence and lack of that was kind of awkward, that shoehorning in there, Pete. Anyway, government incompetence. You show me a government that is not suffering from that in the world right now, my friend. And lack of effort guarantee that it will never happen. Anyone remember a wall? Amazing, Pete, how you're managing to show your disdain, co-opting a European story to do a bit of US bashing there. Bon dia, Carl and Gumpus, from a huge storm. It might be a huge storm. Battering Ireland and then Scotland. Country closed down like it's Christmas. COVID lockdown feeling. That's amazing. A fresh 3 degrees at present and -1 overnight. The James is here, everybody. Who started that rumor that he was still snoozing and drooling in bed? Might have been me. Bon dia de Espinho. Oh, he's in Espinho. Wow. Gumpus, good luck up there, James. Feliz sexta a todos, como estão? He's up and about, and he's up north as well in the country, putting the sex into sexta-feira up there in Espinho. Good luck, mate. Fingers crossed for you up there. Yeah, game of telephone. I've not heard that reference. A game of telephone. What, you just dial in any old numbers. Good morning, everyone from Gemini. How are you doing, Gemini? Love to see you here this morning. Thanks, Ian. Lots of power outages across Northern Ireland and in the Republic, half without power. That's incredible. Even when high red winds ease, the amber winds will be too dangerous to try and repair the damaged systems due to flying debris. My God. One possible problem with this talk of tax changes is that sometimes the results become retroactive. No! Oh, dear. Gemini, I got friends who have beautiful homes in Spain and also Portugal, but they love Spain, the Brits. Oh, yeah, the Brits do love Spain, but for how much longer, we don't know. If 100% tax is going to happen, it might be time to look into America. I don't think that's such a crazy idea, actually. I know a few Americans aren't too keen on the idea, and there's quite the turmoil going on at the moment. But I love visiting America. And I know if you grow up somewhere, so, I have the same thing with the UK. I don't feel like I ever want to go back to the UK. And when I've been to, my memory of America, of the United States, is that it would be an amazing place to live if you could find your little place out back somewhere. So there you go. Maybe that's going to be a thing soon. Bon dia! Morning greetings from a moist and groovy. An upgrade in Villanova to Cerveira this morning. Not only moist in the Minho, but a groovy Minho too. Wishing you all a happy Friday and a wonderful weekend. Thank you very much. Bit of Tony time from the man in the Minho there. Oh, Deagle, let's cross our fingers for Deagle as well. Power flickering. Think we will lose power soon in Belfast. Well, you take care there, Deagle. I hope you've got your candles ready. And you've filled up the bath up with water and done all those prepper type things. Bon dia alegria, Gumpers. It's a busy day today, by the sound of it, for T-Duck. And we found Portugal when we arrived. That's interesting, isn't it? A Lagos man driving our taxi. Great conversation. Nando's for dinner with the... Oh, I see. you're not talking about when you came to Portugal, the intuitive process. You're talking about how Portugal leapt out to you, found Portugal up in Edinburgh. Lagos taxi driver in Edinburgh. Great conversation. Nando's for dinner with the wind forecast. Even Tesco is closed today. That's amazing. Yes, I love Mount Airy in Maryland. I love driving the tractor and doing stuff on the farm. Gemini, I had you down as British. Are you American? The game of telephone. A group of people sit in a circle. Okay. This used to be Chinese whispers until presumably that was thought of as racist. A group of people sat in a circle and someone whispers a phrase into the ear of the first person. The person whispers the phrase into the ear of the person next to them. And the game of telephone. There you go. It is Chinese whispers as the racist Brits would have it. Except when it's a group of Chinese people playing it, and then it's just whispers, of course. Bondi, the great story. Well, it's a sad story, really, but it comes from the illustration of telephone Chinese whispers, whatever you might want to call it. Was by the time the message "send reinforcements, we're going to advance." I think this is a wartime. Is the word apocryphal? Well, we don't know if it's true, but it kind of makes the point anyway. Pete will know. Pete will know who said this and when. We send reinforcements. We're going to advance. Got changed by the time it got to its destination to send 3 and 4 pence. We're going to a dance. And you can imagine the generals back in the bunker. What? Send 3 and 4 pence. We're going to a dance. Those men have gone completely mad. Shoot them all. Bon dia. It's been a while since I jumped in. Vicky, you're most welcome jumping in this morning. Viana do Castelo is a perfect new home for us. Great to hear that. Tax changes are just another point in the pendulum swing. That's an interesting way of looking at it. Change is inevitable, good or bad. You're bringing a Zen stoicism, which is a mixed metaphor, I know, but it kind of makes the point, doesn't it? Very good, Vicky. Thank you. I'm British, and British as it comes. Oh, wow. What does that mean? Never change, cousin out there. What? So very British, Gemini Bradshaw. Yes, thank you very much, Gemini, for being with us this morning. Thank you very much. Probably wearing a bowler hat, strolling down the street with a briefcase and brolly in hand. When the last person has, I think we've done that, James, but thank you. When the last person has the phrase whispered in their ear they heard is normally totally different. Yeah, absolutely. I find that it's like that with myself, let alone with a group of people. Something I'm thinking in the morning is entirely different by the time that's if I can remember it. If I can remember it, it's usually changed by the evening. Thank you very much. Let's move on. It's already 22 minutes past. Let's do a bit of weather. Then I've got some culture. I've got the well-being video from the coach. Right. Okay. Get your greetings in. Tell me what you're doing for the weekend as well, and let's ease our way into that bon fin de semana, shall we? And he's slightly longer than he intended, as the actress said to the bishop. But we will be playing Coach Turner's video as well, as part of the well-being coverage of the Bom Dia Daily. Just to conclude on this first 20 minutes, though, let me just have a look at the weather. Should we go to IPMA for the weather today and see what warnings might be in place here in Portugal? That might be a bit more useful, might it not, here in Portugal? And what I'm seeing, the reason why I'm not seeing any yellow or orange is because I'm looking at the danger of rural fires at the moment. That's an old screen on there, and thankfully, obviously, with the weather the way it is, there are no concerns about rural fires at the moment. However, there's also the bivalve information. We haven't looked at that for a little while. On the coast, they give you a bivalve update, which is extraordinary, is it not? And I'm trying to find the straightforward. Am I looking at climate? It's very complicated. I'll tell you, I'm going to show you how complicated it is over at IPMA. But if you are looking for comprehensive weather information, you might want to do this. You might want to go to ipma.pt, which I shall bring onto the screen for you now. There you go. That's not especially helpful. If I go back to the homepage, you'll see all the sorts of information that is given to you there. And I'm seeing with the weather warnings, as you can see over towards the middle and left there, The coast and the northern coast, especially, with a yellow at the moment, and inland and down in the Algarve, without warning actually at the moment. But warnings are coming down from Viana do Castelo, where you are, Vicky, all the way down to just north of me here on the coast, I would say. Leiria is under warning, as is Lisboa. It's Lashboa with the winds at the moment. Lashboa. It's a kind of British headline, that, isn't it? Agitação maritima, so marine agitation. That's a warning until tomorrow. Okay, so there you go. And the weather, 15 degrees and cloudy up in Viana do Castelo, and combing down to the Algarve, where we've got 16 in Sagres, the high, 17 over in Faro. So great. So climatological, all kinds. It's a very diverse report when you go over to IPMA, and I will put the link to that in the chat for you right now. Okay, let's do that. Let's go to a few more of your comments. We'll talk about the Rolling Stones rolling back into Lisboa, playing at the Benfica Stadium, I think, as well, which will make it very difficult, I think, for sporting fans to get along there. Viana do Castelo is still a best kept secret. Shush! Vicky might not want you to tell everybody. One of the most beautiful cities of northern Portugal. And I saw you wrote about it yesterday, didn't you? You published an article about it yesterday, Antonio. Feel free to share the link with me, and I'll make sure everybody gets sight of that, unless Vicky doesn't want them to. The reinforcement story, there you go, was in the humour section of Punch 1925. I knew it. Peter had the originals at the German Institute of Historical Research, and more importantly, free coffee and cream cakes. Dubious, says Peter there about that. The issue is that it was 9 years later in a humour magazine, but sure, the Conspiracy Brigade would say it was true. Nice bashing of the Conspiracy Brigade there, Peter. Are you not in any way a conspiracy theorist, Pete? A bright man like yourself must be ahead of some of the curves that turn out to be correct in our society and our common consciousness, I would have thought. It's a great day for a dip in the North Atlantic. Lol, it is grim out there, isn't it? And Lee McGrady's here. Good morning, people. Right, let's have a look at the coach's well-being video for the week, certainly from a fitness point of view. And I was out training yesterday. You'd be proud of me, coach. I was out with the boy yesterday. He beat me on some of the strength to do with the arms. I can still outrun him though. I think he's really looking forward to the day, my eldest boy, when he can outrun me. That won't be long. But still, I'm outrunning him and beating him with leg strength. But he was beating me for how long he can hang from the hoops yesterday and on the parallel bars. Good fun, good times. Right, let me just find your video, coach. Whilst I'm finding that, hold on a minute. A bit of language for you this morning. This is a phrase that in conversation I came to with Pam. Do you know what this handy phrase is? I think it's awesome. It's a really good one to have. Já is such a nice little word in Portuguese. A good coverall, a good word to learn. Já vi. What might that mean? It's a bit like la vie, isn't it? It sounds like it might be poetic and philosophical. It's actually a very useful, practical phrase. So we'll come back to that as well, what that means. And if you've got other applications of já, that could be quite useful too as well. Right, Coach Turner coming up in just a moment once this video is loaded. And we'll be looking at the Rolling Stones returning to Portugal soon as well. And this controversial matter ahead of Colleen Showalter joining us at 8:40 on whether it is vulgar. I think we have touched upon this, eating a pastel de nata with a spoon. I just thought that was terribly vulgar. I'd only to be very surprised when I put it to Portuguese people last night to see if they agreed with me. They did not agree with me. I don't think not one of them agreed with me. I was pretty shocked about that. Over to you, Coach. We'll be back after this.
Hola Gumpers, and welcome to episode 3 of Growing Old Disgracefully in 2025. There's an old adage that says the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And I thought it was an interesting phrase to base a little story around, about a friend of mine who is a top-level masters triathlete, brilliant swimmer, very strong on the bike, less so running, but you know, she's competed for GB around the world, so a pretty good athlete. And she was finding she was getting a bit slower, not so much in the pool, but biking and certainly running, and couldn't work out what the problem was. She was even training a little more, as in, you know, doing a little bit more running and going out for longer cycle rides. So she started to think about it and realized that she did absolutely zero proper strength work. So all she did was start to do some squats every day. To begin with, she would only do, you know, she'd only get about halfway down where she should be able to get down because she hadn't done them for so long. But after doing them about 3 times a week for 4 or 5 weeks, I guess, she was getting full depth squats. So her hips are going down pretty close to the floor. And after another 4 or 5 weeks, she was really quite powerful and found that her cycle time and running times were beginning to drop because suddenly she was stronger in her glutes and her quads. And so that change, and we've been talking about change this year, that change has made a significant difference. Obviously, we're not high-level athletes, and we have no wish to be. We just want to be healthier. So perhaps changing up what we do, adding some strength work into just, rather than just going out for walks and cycles and perhaps the odd swim, build a bit of strength work into the routine and make the change, and it will make a change for you for the better. Okay, that's it for this week. I want to talk about knees next week because you need to be careful when you're doing squats of your knees to not damage them any more than they're probably damaged already. Certainly mine are. So I'll see you next week. Ciao.
I am looking forward to the knee special, I have to say. And it did surprise me a year or two ago when I could start to hear my knees as I was going up and down the stairs. And now I hear them most mornings. And I have taken a slightly different approach. Thank you, Coach, by the way. That's superb. That will be added to your treasury of Growing Old Disgracefully, the God Squad tips of the day, the whole course, in fact, at the Portugal Club. And Johnny Cocktail very kindly gave me some supplements that he said were sort of pretty miraculous, and they may well have been for him. My knees are still pretty crunchy, and I'd be very interested, as I'm sure others who have a similar condition. I think it was Richard, wasn't it, over at the Prohibition Bar, who said the music is louder than your knees. Over here, that's their level. Where the music is louder than your knees, the Prohibition Expats Oldies Bar. There, it's not. People of all ages are welcome, of course. Actually, I'm looking forward to getting over there this weekend. Fancy a pint over at Prohibition. But yeah, I think a knee special next week is going to be great. So looking forward to that, and how to keep exercising with respect for your knees. And I think that's really important, isn't it? When bits of our body do get a little bit wonky and wobbly, it's really important to not give them a hard time and be critical and negative. I don't think that helps. I think we can love our bodies, and I'm sure that helps in some way as well. But, you know, when it comes to wear and tear, there are probably other mechanical things and supplements that are useful. So, let's talk about our knees next week. Coach says, Bob, I've been working on squatting ever since I retired. Sorry, just the word squatting makes me giggle. Recently learned that holding a weight out in front of me as I lower can help keep my balance as I drop lower. Good on you, Bob. That's fantastic. And let's have a look at your pictures of Edinburgh. shall we, and see what's going on in Edinburgh this morning. Well, I don't think it's just this morning, is it? I think it might have been your trip to Nando's last night. Lovely shots of the incredibly beautiful and photogenic Viv here in Nando's. That's where you found the cockerel there last night. That's British people's, Scottish people in this instance in Edinburgh. That's their reference point for Portugal, isn't it? Really, Nando's. That's Edinburgh by night. Isn't that a beautiful city? And there's a Nando's blackboard, the legend of the Barcelos cockerel. And you don't live a million miles from there in real life. Did you tell that to the waiting team there, Bob, that we're from Portugal, actually? And they're like, in an American accent, whatever. I'll take your order now, sir. Brilliant. Hope you have a lovely time over there. And I hope this storm lets up a bit for you, Bob and Viv, over there in Edinburgh at the moment. Right. That word then, before we have a look at the Rolling Stones. Who's going to go and see the Rolling Stones? Combined age of, well, I said 2000, didn't I? Combined age. The two of them are 81. I mean, even whether or not you like them and their music, it's pretty inspirational, isn't it, to have two 81-year-old rockers on stage at the Benfica Stadium soon here in Portugal. That phrase then, já vi. I was in correspondence with Pam yesterday. Pam's got a Portuguese teacher friend, Emma, who will get on the show next week, I hope. And when Pam and I were corresponding, I think I said já. Já is useful because a guy in a shop taught me já tenho, as in I've already got it, or I have that, já tenho, like that I have, já tenho. I think it was in a mobile phone shop. And I love it how helpful Portuguese people are. I'm told Spanish people might not be so helpful. My experience with French people is that they're not as helpful as Portuguese people are. You know, imagine saying to a French person, I love your language and I'm delighted to learn it. Will you please teach me? And of course, some will. But I just can't see that in a Parisian shop. Being an idiot with French and getting a warm reception. So, no, you do not say it like that. You'll say it like this. And I know the Pink Panther doesn't work in every shop in Paris, but you get the point. Whereas in Portugal, desculpa, fala pouco português, you know, ajuda-me, faz favor. And people will. So já tenho, I knew. And then when I was talking to Pam about, yeah, I've seen it, Pam. I've seen it. I've seen the message. Thanks. I think I said já olho or olhar. I just guessed. And I think it's worth doing. Making a fool of yourself, getting it wrong is good when the people at the other end will not humiliate or look down on you, but will say, actually, it's já vi. I've seen it, já vi. And that is me there. That is my AI avatar, my avatar, teaching you Portuguese. How about that? Já vi, I have seen it. Right. We've got Colleen joining us in a few minutes. So I'm going to move on now to the Rolling Stones news that I caught sight of yesterday. I think we're well and truly into the Good Morning Portugal show. Let's put that onto the screen right now, and we'll change that banner too. Comments in the chats and pics and vids, please, as you've already been doing, to 913-590-303. I want to show you a heron eating goldfish as well before we go to Colleen. Everyone needs to eat. And if you're worried about having too many fish in your pond, you needn't worry, especially if you live near where John does. The Stones, all right. We've got the Rolling Stones set to rock Lisbon in May. According to Michael Brujo and the resident, Rolling Stones are coming back to Portugal this May as part of their Hackney Diamond European tour, according to Blitz magazine. Blitz magazine, the big Portuguese music mag, and it was their 40th anniversary, I think, this year. I bought their souvenir edition. Fans can reportedly mark their calendars for May the 20th, though the exact venue for the Lisbon concert is yet to be confirmed. Speculation suggests the show might take place at the Estádio da Luz, the home of Benfica, the football team. The British rock icons led by Jagger and Keith Richards, now both 81 years old. I mean, that's extraordinary, isn't it? That's 162 between them. Boy bands, there might be like 7 people in a boy band, and their combined ages don't even get past about 50. They're expected to soon unveil the full itinerary for their European tour, due to kick off in London. And kick off it will. like, imagine Mick dancing around a stage and kicking his legs in the air like he does. The tour will also include stops in Spain, France, Germany, Italy, the Netherlands, and Denmark. You can see him several times across Europe if you want to. The upcoming concert marks the Stones' first appearance in Portugal last year in 2014 at the Rock in Rio, Lisbon. Hackney Diamond is the name of the band's 24th studio album, which was met with critical acclaim and even nominated for a Best Rock Album at the 67th Annual Grammy Awards. How about that? So the Stones are returning in May. As promised, then, a quick vid before we talk to Colleen. A heron. This is a David Attenborough moment for you now, and then we'll talk to Colleen. Check this out, okay? And there is, if you're of a nervous and a sensitive disposition, you might want to not watch the second video of 3 seconds, which I'll play, which is the unfortunate climax of this whole process of a heron being in the back garden. If I walk really slowly, John will not see me in his back garden. It's going well so far. I'm going to make my way behind the tree. John has not seen me. John is not banging on the window yet. I don't think he's seen me. He must just be looking at his phone in the kitchen. Okay, I'm hidden behind the tree. And this is what happened next. Oh dear. I'm so sorry to see that, John, but I'm glad you're philosophical about it and described it as the circle of life. Let's give her a nice big round of applause and bring Colleen onto the screen. How about we've got it all here, haven't we, Colleen? Natural history.
I don't know what to say.
Follow that. Thanks
so much for that, Carl. Hello, and happy 2025.
Bueno to you as well. How are you doing? How's life on the part of the Silver Coast that is Alcobaça?
Oh, it's lovely. I mean, is smack in the dead of winter, of course, but can't complain, and just enjoying everything that this area makes just so fantastic. And that was kind of a moment to watch your heron in the backyard. That was a lot. Thank you for the warning.
I need to say it's not my heron, just in case, John. Okay. Like, it's like, your dog's been in our garden again. It'd be interesting, wouldn't it, to get a phone call? I think we've got your heron in our back garden eating our fish again. Now, the interesting thing about this is John was concerned. He bought some fish for that pond, and they were very happy there, and they multiplied. They swam forth and multiplied. So he was worried about what to do with all the fry and the fish, but nature provided.
Nature
right
there.
Yeah, and a kind of a service station for herons on that flight path. So thanks, John, for that. Great to see you, Colleen. Are you all nice and settled into the new office premises as well now?
We had a big kickoff party in December to show it off and share, and it's been it's just been great. We're settled in now. We just did the last bit for now of construction and things last night. We got all the whiteboards up. So now it's official. We can make notes and keep track of things. So feeling like we're making progress.
Wonderful. Good for you. All the best to you in the new premises and for an exciting new year. You've hit the ground running, I suspect. I've seen some of your fantastic videos.
We hit the ground running. We've not really had any downtime. Suffice to say, after November, things got very, very busy. And then the normal time of quiet around the holidays didn't happen. And January feels like August. And so we're just
Well, you did look peaceful and relaxed in the lovely videos I saw of you. And I think the point that was being made was that you take time to immerse people in an experience. I think the phrase you may have used was you don't see Portugal from the inside of a car, something along those lines, right? And I understand how that might happen. There must be a temptation, mustn't there? Like, get back in the car, we've got lots to see. Mm-hmm. But when you do that, you don't really get to soak up the vibes, which led me to think, Colleen's having people tune in. And for those people are different. There are people who make very logical, rational decisions about moving here. And there are people who can just stand in a town and probably say to you, this is it. Thank you. And that's it. How do you see all of that and that process?
Well, I just feel like it's really important for people to be intentional when they make a choice. Most towns of any merit or size in Portugal will have basic amenities, grocery stores, gas stations, some, you know, they're all comparable, but it's a feeling. Does it draw you in? But how do you know that if you don't pause and look around yourself and just kind of see how you feel if you fit there? And then we really try to encourage people, whether they're working with us or on their own doing exploratory trips in Portugal, is it's better to do less and take the moments in to absorb what's around you than try to just pack it in, because it becomes white noise. At a certain point, you won't remember if you were in Porto, if you were in Braga, if you were where. It literally just packs all together. So we encourage people to get out of the car, walk around, connect with why the city's there. What are the roots of the place? Does it speak to you? Do the people there, do you find yourself drawn in to learn more? And that can help guide you if this could be a place for you to live.
Yeah, very good, very good. And yeah, so getting out of the car is important. And you make a really good point, because the logical, rational mind does want to do as many things as possible, because then you'll go home with a list of places perhaps, and you'll look at your notes to remind you. And I know exactly what you mean. That thing of looking at notes or a photograph on your camera and thinking, I recognize the name, I recognize that picture, but I have no idea where it is. It is the white noise. It's the blur of that whole too busy trip that we took. So you would recommend that people do ease off a little bit. They'll thank you for it in the end.
I think that you know yourself, you know deep down what you really want in your lifestyle, your budget, those things. So you don't need to see all of Portugal if you come over. You can eliminate things with talking to folks, with myself, with teams, whatever. Or, you know, when you make a plan, focus on the things that you're drawn to first remotely, and then focus on those when you get here. I feel bad for people that are like, Portugal's not that big. I've got 10 days. I'm going to see the whole country. And it's like, that's not recommended, because you see it only topically. You don't dig in, and you also don't see the cons necessarily. You know, the pros are easy when you're driving around. You're like castles and wineries and sparkle. But you need to also look around and say, is this kind of quieter area appealing to me? Do I like where this is located? There's no train service. You know, do I really appreciate this kind of space because it feels a little tired or quiet? Maybe it doesn't have a vibrancy to it. And you're not going to know that until you're actually stopping and kind of breathing it in. So it's hard. Portugal's the size of Indiana. So people are like, we can do this. But there's a lot here, thousands of years of history. It's tough quickly.
That's right. It's not just the left and right, it's up and down, isn't it? And the depth and profundity and the soul of the place that I don't think can be taken in at speed or at pace, can it? You need to definitely get out of the car. So where have you been recently on these sorts of trips with people?
Well, we've been all over the place. I just spent a magical, fantastic 4 days scouting up in Lamego and the Douro for a client that just has a desire to refurbish a stone house. And I love these clients because you get to see some real interesting, some real amazing history and architecture and places that you just would never normally wander off to. So that was fantastic. It was an adventure. I will have to say, Carl, those roads up there, I mean, some of these roads, we're like way up on the top, the ridge lines of the mountains with the windmills, and then dropping straight down and like going into these little windy, I was on gravel roads. We were like fording creeks in some places. It was pretty interesting. But for example, we ended up looking at a home that was offered that was a 17th century hardware store and sundry store.
Really?
And it was like a time capsule. It still had all of the stuff in the cabinets, and been owned by the same family for 5 generations. And I mean, it's going to take millions to repair. It might be a little outside of my client's budget, but to walk through this place and to look and see and feel, it literally had just been closed up. The last 3 generations had just walked away from the house and just left it the way it was. So it's really, it's fascinating. I love it when we go on these adventures.
Isn't that wonderful that you can still find that sort of property, that sort of possibility there. So maybe a little bit too much work to do, but what a gem. It must have been so educational to walk in there and get us that sense of history.
It really was. There were chandeliers from France that were sitting in the cases, like parts of chandeliers. There were old books that were, of course, basically dust, but you could see the bindings. You could still see the tins and things. It was just incredible. Now, it was offered for like 150,000.
Seriously?
It was, a giant property. It was 3 stories that had servants' quarters on the top. It was truly like a palace. But I think, as the rough estimate, without having anybody out there, was you'd sink at least $1 million before it was finished.
Seriously.
It would be one of those projects, a labor of love, some eccentric person that just wanted to spend all their money, because every piece of woodwork, everything was extraordinary, but it all needed to be completely refurbished.
Incredible. Maybe a boutique hotel called the Hardware Store or something.
That would be cool. Absolutely. No, it was great. And even the servants' quarters still had the little metal beds and the wash basins in them, where the people would have washed.
Really? No expense spared for the staff then.
No, you're way up in the top. You got yourself a little metal cot and a little bowl to wash your face.
I've seen it in a Disney movie. Only just recently. Hey, talking of Disney movies, how's Aladdin?
Aladdin is fantastic. He's almost 6 months old. He's just growing like a weed. He's going to be bigger than Dutch, which, for viewers, if you don't know, we have a 125-pound Newfie-Doodle, and his name is Dutch. And now we have Aladdin, who's 5 months old, and he's already pushing 45 pounds. So
wow. And how's Dutch doing? I always like to find out how Dutch is doing with this new companion on not just on the horizon, in the room.
He loves him. They sleep in the same room together. They play together. The problem is Dutch is kind of a little confused because, come here. You got to see him.
Have we got Aladdin? Oh, hey, Clyde, how you doing? Good to see you, man.
This is Aladdin.
Oh, my word. Careful, yeah. Right, you are not going to be able to do that for much longer.
That's our 5-month-old. So, he's
5 months old and a Newfoundland.
Just a little tiny dog. I've lost my ability to put him in my purse. So.
Absolutely. And you will cut quite the dash when you're walking out with Dutch and Aladdin, I'm sure, in Alcobaça.
Absolutely. And they play together now, but Aladdin steals Dutch's tennis balls, and then Dutch looks at us like,
what are you going to do?
What do we do?
So all right.
He's an imp. So, but you have to promise me, Carl, because my darling husband, Clyde, wants to call him Al.
What's wrong with that?
No, he's Aladdin. It's crazy because the song from Paul Simon.
I do. Well, it immediately came to mind. Yeah.
So now I use come on, Al. I'm like, he's not Al. He's Aladdin. So we're working on that.
Okay. Yeah. Well, next time we speak, I'll find out how that's going. How lovely. And if anybody does want to send tennis balls in for Dutch, that will be to Portugal, the place in Alcobaça. I'm sure that will get to. He's going to have more tennis balls than he knows what to do with eventually. So that
all used tennis balls are able to be donated to Portugal, the place. We can have a little box and you can just bring them here because we go through crazy amounts of them.
Wonderful. Okay, so I'm sure you're getting lots of calls and inquiries at the moment. You can call me Al. That's definitely what comes to mind, isn't it? Right. Yeah, you're going to be getting a lot of calls. You always do. And I imagine things have got a little bit more intense as we go into 2025 for obvious reasons. And your initial service is free. And I was saying to you, wasn't I, on WhatsApp, is there an offer we can do for people who watch the Good Morning Portugal show? And this is a new feature. We've got the Bom Dia Daily. And I would like to do a Bom Dia Daily deal every day, something for this community. And you very kindly have offered 5% off your service package, which is, I guess, after people have had their first free consultancy,
yes,
they're committing to the process. They're working with you. Can you tell us a bit more about that particular service and the discount we can offer people?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a free consultation calls. We don't time people, if you need to work through the system of what you need to prepare for, that's what we do. That's all complimentary. So that's hard to give away free. So we already do that. But if you choose to use one of our core services, which is location immersion, that's the scouting and learning your way around before you've made a decision on if you're living here or where you want to live. And then we also have relocation packages that will support you all the way through the arc of the experience, from finding the rental to helping you navigate a purchase to getting your utilities hooked up, buying a car, everything in between. Those all have the 5% off. So if you choose any one of those services, you'll get 5% off if you use the code that we provided here for Carl, and you just put that in the space when it asks if you have a promo code, and we'll register that for you when you reserve that service. So we're really excited to be able to help you and to get you up and running. But the calls are complimentary. You don't have to worry. Those calls are free, and we're happy to help you get started with what you need to know before you start your planning.
There you go. That's that first free call that's on the screen there. And I'll put the website address there. Obviously, PortugalThePlace.com. It's pretty straightforward. But let me put that into the chat as well. And then if you move on from there into a package of some sort, we can do the 5%, or Colleen and team Portugal the Place will give the discount of 5%, and you just need to quote Bom Dia Daily. First of many, I hope. If you're a restaurant, a hotel, a winemaker, and you want to give us a Bom Dia Daily deal, get in touch with me, 913-590-303. And if you're one of our community who needs help connecting with any of these deals, just drop me a line on the same number as well. That's really kind of you. Thank you very much for that. I imagine you've set out your goals for 2025 as a company. How are you treating this year, and what are you hoping for from it, Colleen?
Well, 2025 for us is a let's go, let's roll, and let's see what happens. It's a pretty intense time right now for Americans. We serve all English-speaking folks from all over the world, but the majority of our clients are from the U.S. And right now, we are just getting a lot of people that feel that this is the time for them to change location. So because of that, we're staying a little loose. We're keeping things, open, because we're just accommodating a lot of interest and folks that maybe are very early in the stages that don't really know what it takes to move abroad. And for 2025, I really hope that we can just continue to deliver at the level that we are engaging with our clients, and also just making people feel comfortable that there's a safe place for everyone, and that really stressing that Portugal, though it's not perfect, there's a lot of things to manage and deal with here. No place ever is. But the one thing I'm confident in is it's safe, and it's a place that you're welcomed, and anyone from any background can feel confident that they could start another chapter here and really enjoy themselves and have a new look on life.
How wonderful. What a lovely invitation. What a lovely reminder. One more thing before you go, and have a wonderful weekend. Bon fin de semana to you. With a spoon or without a spoon?
Not with a spoon. Who eats with a spoon? No.
Well, you would be surprised.
No. That's worse than the heron. That was worse than the heron.
I'm so sorry. I've actually quite traumatized you this morning, haven't I?
I have a heron eating fish in the yard, and now someone's using a spoon. No, you have to get to a beaka at the counter and take the pastel covered in cinnamon and just take that bite.
So that is not for you. I was shocked, and you too think it's a little bit vulgar, if I may use that word. Yes, outrage. Well, I'm sorry to send you off in this condition.
Thanks, Carl.
Have a great weekend. Bon fin de semana. Lots of love to the team there. Take care. Bye for now. Ciao, ciao. Cheers to me. All the best. See you next month. Bye for now. Now, of course, I've done my own rigorous research. You know me, quite the social scientist with these things. And I went to the cafe after seeing this, and I also need to play you some footage as well. When I asked some real Portuguese people last night on the town hall, but this is me trying that. I'm not proud of myself, but I just thought, you can't. You've got to walk a mile in another man's moccasins or his pastel de natas, I guess. Well, that's really quite an uncomfortable and messy image, isn't it? But this is me at the cafe yesterday. I needed to give it a go. I had to go to the restroom immediately after that. I think Hugh, understandably, as I might predict, never with a spoon, dear boy. It's like people who use a knife and fork with asparagus. Oh, okay. So you shouldn't. You should pick your asparagus up. Okay, all right. And you should pick your pastel de nata up. Okay, thank you very much. And if you walk a mile, of course, in another man's shoes, you're a mile away and you have his shoes. Yay! Yay. Now, calm down, heaven. We do enjoy your strange comments from time to time, but easy there in the chat. We've just put you on the naughty step for a moment, which may have enraged you further. I don't know, because you're on the naughty step. Thunder Duck, your feet might hurt a lot if the other man's shoes don't fit. But what a joy when the shoes are actually the right size, eh? And they've been warmed up for you as well. Ew. Right. Now, I asked the town hall, the dream team, last night. And I was not only, I'm just reeling anyway from the whole idea of eating pastel de natas with a spoon. Tried it. And as it turns out, because when I went into the cafe, the lovely man, the baker in there, he's saying, "Quiet, cuidado, cuidado." And in my cafe, they do a very runny custard, and they were just out the oven. And he was telling me, he was warning me, he didn't want to be sued, I guess, for having a custard-related burn around my mouth in there. So he's made it clear that the custard was hot. And I thought, okay, this is the moment to do that experiment and spoon the hot custard. And when I tried to bite it, as you saw, they actually exploded. That was the second take as well of that. The first bite, it was everywhere, went all over my hands. I had to go and wash in the bathroom before I could finish off my pastel de nata. The naughty step is, oh, Jackie's going to see you over there. It's warm on the naughty step. Got it all going on over here. And then, so a bit shocked, and I can see, if the custard's runny, it might be quite good to take off the worst of it with a spoon and then finish by picking up and eating the pastry. You won't believe what the dream team lot are like with it. To a man, in brackets, woman, person, human, that they're all spooners. I couldn't believe it. Check this out. Oh, I need to play it for you as well. Let me just press play. There you go. Thank you to the dream team. Last question then this evening. Two questions, and I need quick answers because we're running out of time here, but I have to share a screen here, and it's this, which I'm sorry to bring to you this evening, Dream Team. I was very shocked when I saw this. The correct way to eat a pastel de nata. Somebody has taken their spoon to the custard there. That surely is not the right way. Please help me out here, Portuguese people, with that. Rita Afonso, what do you think? That should be against the law, shouldn't it, in Portugal?
It should, but I personally really like to eat the pastel nata like that way.
Okay, that's an upset. All right, Rita, thank you so much for being here tonight. Much appreciated. Love to all the GIR team. And we'll see you soon, I hope, when it comes to a webinar about moving exotic creatures over to Portugal, which is how some people would refer to their relatives. But we're talking about pets here. Peter, is that the right way to eat a pastel de nata, or should it be against the law?
Wow, I would say this is a big offense to eat it like this.
It should be an offense. Thank you very much. And we know how you feel about the 100% tax for
Sure.
non-EU people. Yeah, it's unlikely to happen, I think you said earlier on. Thank you so much for being here. Let's go to Daniel, the legal man who could actually help with bringing some sort of precedent to the culture here. Should that be allowed or not, Daniel?
Well, but there's a problem. Guilty as charged.
Oh no, you as well.
Oh, you stole my line. You stole my line, Daniel.
I do this as well. I would say about 20% of the times that I eat a pastel nata, I do this. Not all the times, but sometimes I do like to vary and do this.
Wow. I had a health and safety warning in my cafe this morning. I saw this and I thought, I'm going to try this. And I've got a video of it exploding in my face. The man in the cafe, the baker, said it's hot. Quente, cuidado. And it was still runny. It was so it was the best way with a spoon. What about you, Gilda? Guilty as charged as well. I'm really shocked by all of your behavior tonight.
You see?
All right.
We're Portuguese and we like to eat the pastel nata like that.
All right.
True, it's true, yeah.
Pedro's, you as well.
Yeah, since I was a young boy. It's the best way to eat the pastel de nata.
Sandra, help me
Can
out.
I say
Yes.
something? Sorry,
Please,
can I say
please.
something?
Of course.
They are so good that we can eat all of them anyway.
Okay,
With a
fair enough.
spoon, without a spoon,
Yeah.
anyway. Eat
Even
them.
in one go, right?
Yeah.
Some people just-
Right.
Okay, Sandra, what do you
Yes.
think?
Guilty.
Guilty as well. Unbelievable. What a shocker tonight here on the town hall session. Thank you, all of you. It is actually, you heard it here tonight. That is the correct way to eat a pastel de nata. That's what we need to see you doing when you arrive here in Portugal. Over to you. Unbelievable. That was an upset, a shocker for me, but there you go. It is official. That seems to be the right way to eat a pastel de nata. And on that note, I wish you a bon fin semana and prepare for some loud disco music. Oh, hi, Antonio F. Good to see you. How do you eat your pastel de nata, Antonio? With a spoon or without a spoon, or just in your gob in one go, straight in the cake hole? Have a great weekend, folks, and we'll see you again on Monday. Bon fin semana.